When there's no due process, there's no checks, there's no assessment. They just claim something and then they lock you up. That's the entire problem with the erosion of due process and a direct violation of court orders. Let's talk about the devastating realities of modern American existence.
News. Off the top here at 5 o'clock, we have just learned that a Tufts University graduate student was taken into ICE custody because investigators allege she was engaged in activities in support of Hamas.
I want to pick the brains of like regular Americans who watch stuff like this. I want them to explain to me how they think this is normal and it's good, actually. Like, this is Gestapo shit, right? You got masked, plain-clothed Gestapo agents in broad daylight kidnapping people because they're just saying they don't like what you had to say about Israel. And everyone's like, yeah, that's normal. That's chill. What the f?
Now, they did not give any specifics about what the student is accused of doing. WBZ's Beth Germano is live in Somerville, where a rally will soon be underway with people who are, Beth, supporting that student.
Well, the arrest has certainly sent shockwaves through the Tufts University campus. And as students and friends prepare to gather in support of Rumeysa Ozturk, the Department of Homeland Security has now confirmed she's been sent to an ICE detention center in Louisiana, which flies in the face of a federal judge who ruled she should not leave Massachusetts without prior notification.
Yeah, they're also actively violating court orders, setting up for a constitutional battle that I think is going to determine the next phase of fascism in this country. There are an estimated 2,000 people apparently at this rally that took place a couple hours prior at the release Rumeysa rally. I don't know what to say. And they always send them to Louisiana because the judge in Louisiana is more favorable and will make insane decisions, for the record. I told my MAGA mom about Khalil and she was very alarmed and disgusted and also told me there are several things she's upset about that this administration has done. The MAGA movement is falling apart. I wouldn't say that it's falling apart, but I do want you to watch this. I want you to watch this, and I want you to understand that this is straight up Gestapo shit, okay? Like, this is not an exaggeration. What they are doing in broad daylight, plainclothes officers running up.
You guys covering your faces? You want to take those masks off? Is this a kidnapping? Yeah, you don't look like it. Why are you hiding your faces? Why are you hiding your face?
If you're processing a lawful order, you should not be ashamed of your identity. I'm kind of confused, actually.
Can I see some faces here? How do I know this is the police? Seems like bullshit to me. Certainly looks like it. Bit of a kidnapping going on here?
The horrific moment that Tufts grad student and anti-war activist Rumeysa Ozturk was detained and kidnapped by Trump's ICE thugs. Imagine a bunch of random masked dudes in broad daylight approach you like this, and then they just cover you from all sides, just snatching you in the middle of the day. A real kidnapping. Like, this is not an exaggeration. When I say fascism is here in the United States of America, I mean it. It is not an exaggeration at all. That's precisely what's going on. She says, call Fatima to her friend. Yeah, consider this. 6 people in plainclothes approach you and begin to cover their faces. At least one appears armed. As they grab your phone and backpack, they do not prove who they are. They say they're going to take you, but they're not saying why. What would you call that? I really do think that there would have been, I really thought that there would have been more motion against this sort of stuff. I don't know what it will take. I don't know what it will take for people to actively start putting up a fight against this. Not from the people. Protests are erupting. The people are mad. We're mad. You're mad. The people are protesting. They're taking to the streets. That's not the issue. That's not my issue at all. There's a lot of people that are protesting. I think what I'm talking about is like Democrats, even Republicans. Like, this is a severe violation of the American Constitution in the most meaningful way, in ways that will, I guess, I'll explain it this way, okay? Americans are selfish. We're self-interested people. We don't care about people outside of our immediate periphery. Barely do we care about others. A violation of the Constitution of this sort actually has the capacity to harm every single American. This is why I'm saying, like, people have to start recognizing that this is going to harm them as well. Even if they don't care about the humanity of Mahmoud Khalil or Rumeysa Ozturk. Even if they think like, oh, well, these guys have strange sounding names, okay? They have to understand that a government that can do this to these people, they will inevitably do it to you as well. It's not fear-mongering. It's simply the expectation at this point. Because the reason why they're starting with like foreign-sounding names, or the reason why was she supporting Hamas though? Bitch, what the do you mean was she, even if she literally was, even if she was like, oh my God, I love Hamas. Hamas is my favorite. Hamas is my best friend. You can't do this. The are you talking about? What do you mean? Was she supporting Hamas though? Like what kind of question is this? No, there is no conciliatory statement here. You can't concede. What are you talking about? I couldn't even finish my point. My point is that one, they're lying about that anyway. And two, it doesn't even matter under the current existing constitutional protections. It doesn't matter if she's like, I love Hamas. Hamas is my best friend. If she was running around saying that, you still can't do this. And the reason why you can't do this is because you don't want people to start making decisions on what you say being considered inappropriate to the degree where they can justify deporting you without due process. Revoke your citizenship status without due process. Do you not comprehend this? When there's no due process, there's no checks, there's no assessment. They just claim something and then they lock you up. That's the entire problem with the erosion of due process and a direct violation of court orders. God, you're so dumb. People that lean into this like, well, there must have been a real reason for this. They're so dumb. They're believing that they're believing in a world and a system that doesn't exist. They think like, well, there's probably some good reason. Otherwise, why would the government do such a thing? Wake the up. It's because you're overreacting about it. If she's a green card holder, a visa holder, then yes, they can. Doesn't apply the green card. No, that's not true. You're wrong. You're actually wrong. This is what's so frustrating about it. No, you're just objectively wrong. It absolutely does apply to green card holders or visa holders. You know what? I'll take it one step further. It applies to illegal immigrants. Yes, it is. You're wrong. No, I'm not. And if I wasn't wrong, there would be no problems. No court system that says, hey, you can't do this. Do you understand? No, you're just a moron who doesn't know the law. They 100% are not allowed to do this to even non-citizens. Think about that. Who told you that this is actually within the legal confines of the federal government? Tell me right now. Who did you get this information from? Because they're lying to you. You don't need to be charged to have your visa or green card revoked. You cannot take away someone's visa or green card without any reason, okay? You can't do that. If that was the case, there wouldn't be so many checks before you get the visa or the green card. You cannot do that. You can't just like revoke people's citizenship or legal permanent residency status without any significant reason. You absolutely have to have a process where you justify why this is the appropriate method. These are not people that are being nabbed off the street for heinous crimes. Yes, not without any reason, but the Secretary of State holds a large power to revoke them. No, it is a false understanding of it's a bullshit legal interpretation of a tool that has never been utilized, and you're dumb enough to believe that this is a real thing, okay? And no, you don't agree that they need to go through the process. I guess it's fine. No, it isn't. I've read the laws. No, you haven't. You don't understand anything, okay? the Secretary of State has the capacity to potentially revoke the citizenship status or revoke the immigration status or the legal permanent residency status of an individual on U.S. soil, that has an incredibly high bar to clear. Beyond that, that in and of itself is not a reasonable justification because this is a direct violation of the First Amendment. You are wrong. There is no law in the book that says, I don't like what you had to say, so the Secretary of State decided your citizenship is going to be revoked. This is before we even talk about the morality, because legality is not a substitute for morality. I know the legal interpretation argument that you are trying to make, it is incorrect. If that wasn't incorrect, no one would be able to say anything about it. That's why there is going to be potentially a Supreme Court case on this. Okay. If this was well-established legal precedent, then there would be no question. It would be like, hey, if you kill someone, you go to jail. What do you mean? That's it. If it was like well-established, if there was a well-established legal ground, yeah. Law in Mahmoud Khalil's case was once struck down by Trump's very own sister. Judge Marianne Trump Barry ruled that the law invoked against Mr. Khalil violated the Constitution by giving unfettered discretion to the Secretary of State. There is going to be a Supreme Court case on this. Okay? There's going to most likely be a Supreme Court case on this. And it's going to set the stage for American fascism. Agreed, needs to go to Supreme Court then? No, you can't turn around and be like, oh, sorry, it's in the rules. And then turn around and be like, okay, I agree. Maybe it's not in the rules. The do you mean? If that was the case, then Gestapo agents could just nab any tourist they want to and do whatever the they want to them. Non-citizens and citizens alike on U.S. soil are still protected by the Constitution. This is idiotic. To assume that there's a different standard for non-citizens is wrong. Okay? I thought you had read the law. What happened? Now you're agreeing that it needs to go to the Supreme Court. What happened to your brain in this process? In the 30 seconds that you listened to my words, all of a sudden things change. They are, but there are massive restrictions. What are you talking about? This is, again, we're not even covering the other side of the story, which is that legality is not a substitute for morality. There are plenty of immoral laws throughout time that have been abolished and struck down. Slavery was legal. Abolishing slavery was illegal. Freeing slaves was illegal. Do you think that that was a good law? No. Shut the up. Do you think it is a good law that the Secretary of State revokes the citizenship randomly of whoever they see fit for no real reason other than the fact that they want to make a political point? Can't you understand how that would erode the Constitution in its entirety? There's no more protections for the individual citizen. What do you think the Constitution is there for? What do you think regulations are there for? It's not to curb the actions of free citizens. In most circumstances, the Constitution is there to curb the actions of the state against free citizens. That's why it's there. And you're over here fantasizing about a future where the government has no restrictions whatsoever. It's not for no reason. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is for no reason. If the reason being given is bullshit and they know it's bullshit, this person was representing a significant foreign policy threat, that means it's no reason. Causing 100K damage and being the lead negotiator for a Palestinian group is not a First Amendment protected. Yes, it is, because that person didn't do any of those things. They were the lead negotiator for a Palestinian student group in the United States of America, which is protected by the First Amendment. They didn't cause $100,000 of damage. You just pinned that on him because you're a who wants to justify the actions of the state because you're a moron who can't see beyond his nose. You literally are just like, you're locked in. This is as far as you see. You're like, oh, this will never come back to me. You're a moron. The entire reason why he was the lead negotiator with the school was because he was calm and collected. He's one of the worst people. If you want to make an argument, he's one of the worst people to use as an example. No, it isn't, he says. I don't even know what he's responding to. And the tough student didn't do that. And neither did this student. This student didn't do anything, as a matter of fact. She was just in the presence of a pro-Palestinian rally. The Indian student who self-deported literally only signed a piece of paper that said Architects Against Genocide. Do you think that's justifiable to deport people over? If you say yes to that, you're a moron. If you think that a government that does that is not going to come after you one day, you are literally the dumbest person on the planet. You have no self-preservation skills. And even if they had, for the record, no idea what she did, so to be honest, can't comment, then why? Why do you have such a firm conviction, a firmly held conviction on the matter when you were wrong on the Marco Rubio reasoning? You literally admitted that, yeah, it should go to the Supreme Court then. You were wrong on what Mahmoud Khalil was even charged with, which he wasn't charged with any of those things that you're saying. And the only thing that he was responsible for is unironically protected by the First Amendment. You're wrong on, you are deluded on all of these other instances of comparable cases of ICE trying to kidnap people and detain them and deport them. What are you right about? You're right about nothing. You are right about zero things in this process. So perhaps, maybe you're wrong about how you don't realize that this will inevitably harm you as well, or a loved one. I read the law. You're not even literate, dumbass. The f are you talking about? I read the law. You didn't read shit. You don't even know how to read, apparently. There is no justification for any of these people to be grabbed from the streets, dude. Are you guys kidding? It starts off with immigrants. It starts off with legal permanent residents and student visa holders. It will inevitably move to American citizens as well. Either American citizens that were recently naturalized or American citizens that were born here. That's how this works. There is no finite amount of cruelty that they will stop at, because this is not about a real reason. If there's no real justification for it, then clearly they're just trying to slowly but surely erode the constitutional protections that protect you, the American citizens, against government enforcement. That is the entire point of the Constitution. But dumb First Amendment lovers and Second Amendment lovers can't even understand this basic fact. It blows my mind how stupid these bootlicking libertarians actually are. Oh my God. If they had anything to be able to charge these people with, like serious crimes, okay, that are deportable offenses, that are crimes significant enough for them to actually go through the process of revoking their citizenship and deportation, or legal permanent residency status and deportation, then they would go through it. They wouldn't just try to nab people off the street and then try to expeditiously ship them to Louisiana after judge shopping to find a judge that's hog enough to say, yeah, let's do it. Let's deport them. They'd get a warrant. They'd go through the court system. They're not doing that because they know they have nothing. Asman hasn't talked about these students yet, so he has no firmly held convictions that he just got last week. Yeah. Can't wait for Hasan to get deported, you terrorist supporter. Brother, let me explain something to you, okay? I'm an American citizen. Do you understand that? I'm an American citizen. I was born here. So if the government is deporting an American citizen who is also relatively wealthy, relatively famous, what the f do you think they're going to do to you? A country that is fantasizing about deporting me has already put you under the concentration camp, okay? Like, this is the thing that people don't understand, where they're like fantasizing about this growing fascism, where they think that they will somehow come out of it alive and unscathed. Like, you're insane. I don't support terrorists, dude. Dog, that doesn't matter. That's my point. Neither do any of these people, okay? You're a dumbass. You think that the American government is your manager, okay? You're like, oh yeah, no, it's great. I just called a manager and then the manager takes care of this thing, because you're stupid enough to just not click X on my live stream, where you can't stop yourself from watching me and just get increasingly angrier and angrier, while not realizing that an American government that does that to someone like myself is going to destroy you. It's going to destroy you before it destroys me, I promise you. I at least have some kind of financial status to be able to fight against this sort of thing. So you're actively advocating for your own demise. You're cutting off your nose to spite your face. Okay? Bro, every view you have is radical. No one is mad. What? They fired like 60K vets from the VA. What does this chatter think will happen to them? Dude, these guys openly say, like, we don't give a f about you, okay? They openly say, we don't give a f about you. You're broke. You're poor. And they love it. They're like, oh, hell yeah, sir. Hell yeah. Go dunk on my enemies further. I don't care. You're so stupid, man. Yeah, my radical views are America should stop spending endless amounts of money on global warfare, just murdering brown people at a rapid clip, and instead spend it on dumb like you so you can get health care, so you can get free education. That's my opinion. That's my radical position. If you find that position to be radical, you got to get your head examined. Oh, wait, no, you can't because the hospital shut down in your rural area, okay? And no one is coming to save you. So that's why you sit around in a hovel every day, angrier and angrier, until the ISPs also remove themselves from your locality. And you go, why did this happen? I can't even watch my least favorite Twitch streamer any longer. Keep advocating for your own demise, dude. Views, hope you get yours. Yes, I hope I do get the same output that I put out. I hope that people also advocate for my best interests as well. Because that's what I'm doing for you. You might not recognize it, but that is unironically what I'm doing for you. So I wish that all my haters, instead of being fantasizing about different ways of murdering me, would be fantasizing about different ways of improving my living standards. You know? Like a walkable city, public transit, a reduction in traffic. These are fantastic ways to improve my life in a really meaningful way. I hope you advocate for that in the same way that I advocate for your best interest. Okay? Think about that. How do you not see that you want something truly heinous to happen to me for some reason? Because someone told you I was a bad person. I was a radical person. I was a scary person with scary ideas. And then when you actually come in here and are faced with the reality, oh, you got deactivated or suspended already. God, my man got IP banned before I could even have a conversation with him. Yeah, if you advocate to, I hope that people deport you is a threat to a streamer, you will get banned. What does your views are radical mean? Like they're not the orthodoxy, not the mainstream? How does that make them wrong? No, they don't move beyond that position. They don't even know what my views are that make them radical. They just heard someone say it, so they're just repeating it. How can you stand all this hatred? I'm a leftist, man. What are you talking about? I've been eating death threats when I had 30 people watching me. I was getting death threats at the Young Turks as like not even a major figure at TYT. Are you kidding me? The internet used to be a much more hostile space for people with opinions like mine. That's why I always laugh whenever like, bro, you're grifting. You saw that being a leftist was really popular and you started grifting to the left. It's like, no, you dumb. Yeah, when you're on the left, you're just going to keep getting death threats and angry little babies, or you're just going to keep yelling about it. They're going to keep yelling at you because God forbid they actually think about the things that I'm saying and go, maybe he's right. Maybe his advocacy is not all what other people have told me it amounts to, like this awful thing.
And based on interviews with neighbors, it appears federal agents were watching and waiting. The screams of a frightened Tufts University graduate student as a half dozen ICE agents intercept her on a Somerville sidewalk and cuff her late Tuesday afternoon.
Where the police?
Her attorney says Rumeysa Ozturk, a PhD student, is a Turkish national here on an international student visa. She was walking up the sidewalk near her home, about to get dinner with friends to break her Ramadan fast, when the masked agents took her into custody and put her in an unmarked vehicle. Neighbors claim they've been watching the area.
We had noticed a person sitting in a Ford Explorer, black Ford Explorer, just on the corner of our street for a full day with the engine on and taking notes, so we were a little bit surprised to see that.
That's one of the cars, and that's the other car that's kind of involved here.
It was Mike Mathis's security camera that caught the arrest, saying one of the vans had been on the street yesterday since the early morning.
Can I see some faces here? How do I know this is the police?
I live in Somerville. You know, we're supposed to be a sanctuary city. We're supposed to be a place of safety. She's a student here on a visa.
It's unclear why Ozturk was targeted. She had allegedly voiced support for the pro-Palestinian movement at Tufts, but was not known as a prominent leader. Her attorney said in a statement, "We are unaware of her whereabouts and have not been able to contact her."
I'm not kidding when I say this. Like, judging by the pattern I've seen so far, it's literally Stop Anti-Semitism, Beitar, and Canary Mission style operations that are directly feeding the federal government new targets to go after. Like, I think they're just like finding random victims and I mean, they're openly flexing, by the way. Beitar just straight up says they're working with the federal government. They have lists of people. They have lists of people that they just send to ICE with the hopes that they'll do this to them. It's insane. Canary Mission doxed her 2 days before she was detained. Well, there you go.
No charges have been filed against Rumeysa to date that we are aware of. Ozturk's neighbor says her friend.
Jewish Zionist groups, Canary Mission, Beitar, ADL, are leading the charge in having Muslims rounded up by federal agents, thrown in ICE detention centers, and deported for their speech, ignoring how anti-Muslim, anti-Arab structural racism and violence is fomented and plays out in this country, and who is at its helm, hand in hand with the government and every major institution, is to aid and allow this fascism to thrive and the eradication of Palestinians to be justified. Dude, you know what's crazy? Simple, don't get on a list. Come on, man. Come on. I know you're trying to be funny and cute, but that's disgusting. Like, I should have permanently banned you. No, but it's... Yeah. Rumeysa's only crime was writing a op-ed for the university paper last year. Ozturk was a student at Tufts doctoral program for child study and human development, had her visa revoked, her attorney said. The university email confirmed and stated it had no prior knowledge of the incident. Ozturk's attorney, Masa Khambabai, filed a habeas petition in Massachusetts federal court seeking Ozturk's release. The U.S. District Judge Indira Talwani has ordered ICE not to relocate Ozturk out of Massachusetts without advance notice. ICE must also explain why such a transfer is necessary before any relocation occurs. Ozturk has been vocal about her pro-Palestine stance and co-authored a March 2024 op-ed criticizing Tufts' handling of pro-Palestinian activism. Her lawyer says she was recently doxxed on Canary Mission, a site known for targeting pro-Palestinian activists by publicly sharing their photos and details. This is reportedly the first known instance of a student activist being targeted by federal immigration authorities in Boston. A protest is scheduled at 5:30 p.m. at Powderhouse Square Park in Somerville in response to the detention. They kidnapped a Fulbright scholar off the streets of Somerville and absconded her to Louisiana with zero due process and no known criminal charges, very likely in response to bogus anti-Semitism allegations stemming from an op-ed she wrote critical of the atrocities by Israeli state. I've just been informed by the government council that Rumeysa has been sent to Louisiana. It took nearly 24 hours after she was detained for me to be appraised of her location. I have been unable to speak with Rumeysa, but have requested that I have the opportunity to speak with her immediately. Government officials have not yet provided me with the charges against her or any evidence that she has engaged in any wrongdoing. Rumeysa is a Fulbright scholar and a PhD student who deserves to be back at Tufts completing her PhD. No, deport the supporter of terrorists. Lesson here, don't support terrorists, especially as a guest in our country. Send the Jew hater back to Turkey. She FO and now FO. Gaza State is a very nice PhD program. It's like, I don't think many on the left would have predicted that Jewish supremacy was going to be the vanguard of fascism, but it is, and people need to wake up. These are religious fanatics engaged in a holy war, and I'm sorry, but the lack of civil war in the U.S. Jewish community is telling. I'm actually kind of shocked. I will admit, like, Jews who have historically been at the fucking forefront of revolutionary actions, it is shocking. It is genuinely shocking that more Jews are not alarmed by the fact that, like, these Zionist institutions that masquerade as Jewish institutions are actually, like, Jewish advocacy groups are actually unironically doing pogroms in the Holocaust. How the do Jews not realize how quickly this will turn on them? You have to be a real if you think that this is going to, that people are not going to be resentful and spiteful towards you. Okay. And when that turn comes, okay, when that turn comes, do you think that the American government is going to protect Jews? No, they're going to be like, yeah, all right, pack them up. Yeah, they got a lot of wealth. Let's extract it. That's what they're going to say. Yeah. No, I know Brian is Jewish. I know. Like, we're not that far removed from the Holocaust. Like, how are people this comfortable leaning? How are Jews specifically this comfortable leaning into the same neo-Nazi shit that slaughtered their grandparents? Like, what the it doesn't make any sense. Like, do you just have collective amnesia? How the are you not at the forefront, you know, beyond Jewish Voice for Peace? I'm talking like all of these Jewish advocacy groups should be dismantled piece by piece by Jews who are like, no, this is done. You've gone way too far. Yeah, even parents, not even grandparents. Like, for you guys, yeah, your grandparents. But Jews over a certain age, like, they either A, there are still living survivors of the Holocaust, B, immediate parents and family members that were slaughtered in the Holocaust. How the do you not understand? This is the same shit. It's starting. It already started. It's here. I don't understand it. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand it at all. Like the other part about it is that like the government is not exactly hiding that they don't like they're just like fake using the anti-Semitism thing as a cudgel. Like Grant Minor, okay? Grant Minor was the Columbia Student Workers Union leader, okay? Grant Minor is Jewish. And not only was he Jewish, but he also was a PhD student for Jewish historical literature. Like, what the He's one of the people that got clapped in this process. He's an American citizen, so they didn't deport him. But like, they kicked him, they revoked his diploma. Yeah, they're using Executive Order 1488, by the way, to do this, to add insult to injury. I don't know, man. I don't know where we go from here. This is insane. Oh, pretty sure he was majoring in European history, something like that, and not Jewish history. No, it was specifically Jewish literature as it relates to the, I forget which historic time period it is. Medieval Iberian literature. Yeah. No, it's not Levantine. Yeah, it's medieval Iberian literature. You're right. It really feels like as long as the domestic fascism had never come into American Jews supporting Israel, there's no limit to what will be tolerated and even championed by them. The entire project is predicated on fascism against non-Jews. The difference between that and overt religious supremacy is getting blurrier and blurrier by the day. It is overt religious supremacy because Zionism, which is, especially in the United States of America, the expression of Judaism is not done on the boundaries of like Yom Kippur or you know, following the religious tenets closely. It's, for many secular Jews, it's done on the boundary of Zionism. It's become this like national religion. It's the most, all the aspects of community, all the aspects of like religious expression almost always tie back to the Zionist project. The defense and the maintenance of a religious, ethno-religious, supremacist apartheid state. Look, everything, all the symbols of religion are used in this regard. And basically it's this self-sustaining cycle of propaganda. So for a lot of people, I feel like this is just, you know, my experience talking to anti-Zionist Jews and Zionist Jews alike. As far as I understand, it is basically a substitution from, you know, following the religion or having a sense of community on the boundaries of Judaism, and instead following the religious aspects through and finding a sense of community over defending Israel. Yes, I'm just saying my family members, for example, wouldn't outwardly support religious supremacy like Kahanism, but what is truly the difference between that and turning a blind eye to domestic fascism done in their name? At the end of the day, it's the same bullshit. Yeah. No, that's, okay, you're right, yes. Kahanism is a grosser, more overt version of that, but I've seen like yellow ribbon liberal Zionist accounts basically saying never again just means for Jews. Like straight up Kahana shit. Actually, never again just meant for the Jews, not for you. Like that's an insane thing to say, dude. That's just like undermines everything I've read and everything I've learned about like Jewish culture in general through centuries of overcoming historic wrongs. It's insane. They're also going to say we gave you Israel and let you do a genocide. Honestly, I think it's because they're paying attention to our elitists and Behar and shit. Most others are checked out like your normie friend, at least I hope. No, that's not true. You're wrong about this. I don't know if you have many Jewish friends. I don't know if you're Jewish yourself, but if you have many Jewish friends, no. Every Jewish person I know has an opinion on this on either side of the spectrum. They watch this stuff closely. I've yet to meet normie Jews that are just like, yeah, I don't really care. I don't really know what's going on. Like that's the one thing I will actually say is incorrect. Very strong opinions. Very, very strong opinions. Either incredibly in support of everything that's going on, or maybe lightly in support of what's going on, but certainly aware of it, or of course, incredibly strong opinions against it. I guess maybe Aiden Ross would be the one American Jew that doesn't really fully comprehend that or anything. Yeah, a Jew here, every Jew is tapped into this issue, even if they literally aren't political in the slightest and their opinions aren't wishy-washy, they're strong. Yes. There's no grill-pilled Jews on the issue of like both Israel and on the issue of domestic anti-Semitism, whether it's a hysterical approach to domestic anti-Semitism, conflating it with like pro-Palestinian sentiment, or real fears of anti-Semitism because of the valid concerns of growing anti-Semitism. No one is grill pilled on that front. No one's just like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess maybe it's happening. Or at least if there is one, I have yet to meet them. I don't know about this Israel-Palestine stuff, man. I just want to grill some latkes. Yeah. To be fair, I do live in Los Angeles. So my opinions, I do live in Los Angeles, and most of my friends live in New York. And so that is what's guiding my opinion on this. And let me tell you, okay, this part of the country, not a lot of great opinions. Very different than New York. Your chat is appropriating grill pill from Kush Bomb. Yes, that's what we're doing. It's called a callback, not an appropriation. Oh, anyway. No, New York Jews is just as bad when it comes to Israel, especially the Long Island Jews. Dude, look at the UCLA campus protests and the counter protests versus the Columbia campus counter protests. The Columbia campus counter protesters were cops, okay? Anti-terrorism unit. They weren't Persians who were ready to throw hands from all ages, from like 17 to 75.